Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the EasyAsk Customer Webinar Series. My name is Matt Basson. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at EasyAsk. In this month's installment, we are thrilled to welcome Mark Johnson, Head of Digital Marketing for Andertons Music, one of the United Kingdom's leading music instrument retailers. In this session, Mark will give us a brief introduction to Andertons and then explain why they chose EasyAsk as their search and merchandising solution. Mark will also highlight how Andertons are able to react quickly to customer needs and social media trends. We know you will have questions, so please feel free to type them into the question box on the GoToWebinar side panel. We will address them once Mark and Robin are done with their demonstration. Thank you again for joining us today. Mark, thank you, and the floor is yours.
Cool. Hi, everybody. So yeah, let me just take you up to speed on a little bit about Andertons. So we were founded in 1964. We're a family-run business. We've been run by 3 generations of the Andertons family. We began e-commerce in 2006, so we've been going for about 10 years online. And over that time, we've seen, especially in the last 5 years, we've seen kind of 20 to 35% growth every year. Over 300 brands and 13,000 active SKUs. So pretty big business. One of our big challenges is just the sheer kind of volume of products that we have on our website, and across so many different kind of ranges and so on. So yeah, so a little bit more about us. Expert staff knowledge is one of the sort of the big things that we trade on. We're not a box shifter. We do have this very big store in Guildford here. Our staff are very, very knowledgeable, and so we kind of trying to look to leverage that online as much as possible. We've got a huge social media following, and we also have a huge YouTube channel that we do. So we're very sort of in touch with customers. Yeah, let's talk a bit about why we went with EasyAsk. So probably the best place to start is talking about where we were before EasyAsk. So before EasyAsk, we were using a different search provider that only allowed us to sort of filter products by the data that we had against products. And so one of our core challenges is that we don't actually have a lot of structured data around our products. So we obviously have the sort of the obvious stuff like brand and price, product IDs and so on, but not a lot beyond that. And with such a big catalogue, it was very, very, very hard to actually find a specific thing if you didn't know exactly what you were looking for. And so what we found was when we asked customers for feedback about the website, we found that a lot of customers were quite angry about the fact that they would have to literally just go through pages and pages and pages and pages to find what they wanted to find, essentially. So with some of our brands, we might have 400 or 500 products. So when you can only filter by brand and to a certain extent by price, that's an awful lot of kind of sifting through search results to get to things. So it wouldn't be unusual to see users having to click through 10 or 11 pages of search results to actually find what they were looking for. Sorry, go on.
Mark, sorry, this is Robin. I seem to recall at that time you also considered sort of taking on staff in order to create more structure in the database, but just tell us a little bit about why you decided not to do that.
Part of the reason that we decided not to do, well, I mean, it is purely just the gargantuan nature of the task. I mean, I remember the first time I met you, Robin, and having a conversation about this, and about just how overwhelming the thought of trying to go through and manually add more data over such a wide variety of products, when it was often the case that we wouldn't have very structured data from the suppliers. So one supplier might give information in one way, and another supplier might give it in another, and another supplier might not have any information at all. So even the thought of doing it kind of, of sort of manually trying to add that data was very, very overwhelming. So one of the key points here, though, is really just the fact that we were getting feedback from our customers that were just very, very frustrated with the search experience. So we were very much in a situation where we were saying, this is affecting our branding as much as anything else. So we really needed something that was going to not just be an adequate search experience, but we began to realize how important the search experience was from the customer's perspective of our brand. So that's why we then looked to EasyAsk, particularly because of derived attributes. So the fact of being able to actually write rules and sort of manually curate search filters. And now's probably a fairly good time to go and actually have a look. And let's not do this in Safari. Let's do this.
Just in case you didn't notice, there's a low battery warning on your.
Oh, good spot. I'll plug it in. That could be quite embarrassing. I did mean to plug it in earlier.
Memorable.
So this is the Andertons website, and if I just take you to a category page, and I can begin to show you the kind of the attributes that we're using now. So, previously to EasyAsk, we had these. We had categories. We had brands, and we had price range, and that's basically where it stopped. So we didn't have anything beyond that, and everything else that's here is all, are all things that we've managed to do with EasyAsk that there's just no way we could have done before EasyAsk. And these range, from there's a whole different way of getting to all of these different things. So if we use color as an example, color's one which we sort of know that we have data to show that customers buy guitars based on what they look like. That's very important to customers. So actually being able to filter by what color is actually very, very important, because customers will say things like, I want to buy a blue guitar, or they'll say I want to buy a blue guitar, between £300 and £500 or whatever. So now they're able to do that. If they want to buy a blue guitar, they can use the color filter, and they can let's go for light blue. They can pick a color, and then the search results will reflect that. So that's something that there's absolutely no chance that we could do before derived attributes, because even if we were to use some simple rules to say, well, if the product title says blue, unfortunately it's a lot more complicated than that, because as you can see, different shades of blue will be called different colors, different suppliers will refer to blue using different names. And so that actually required us to actually collate all of that data together and go and make a rule for it within EasyAsk, which is a lot easier than going through, having somebody sit through there and go, yep, this one's blue, yep, this one's blue, no, that one's not blue. So color's a really great example of that.
I noticed, Mark, that there was a great for beginners attribute on there. So how would you define what is a great for beginners guitar, and also you have that, I've noticed, for keyboards and drums as well, which is obviously great for parents that are buying for kids and so on, but just wondered how that is defined.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like everything. A lot of the things that we do have in the sidebar here are actually just manually curated. So we will literally say, these follow these rules. So within EasyAsk, we'll say we want it to be these brands, which we know are sort of beginner-friendly brands at this price point and this category. That's basically how the beginner guitars. I mean, we try and use rules that will be evergreen as much as possible, so that we're not we try not to curate to a specific product level. To say this product, because obviously then if that product goes out of stock or out of date or is discontinued or whatever, then it doesn't work anymore. But yeah, so we'll use rules.
So really you're basing it on the expertise that you have in house, because obviously what Andertons will call a beginner's guitar, may be different in another brand where maybe there isn't so much expertise. So that's great that you're able to put that knowledge to great use.
Yeah, and we'll use that as well. So Sounds Like is another good example of that, where we'll where there are particular products that we know will be appropriate for a particular artist. So we allow people to then filter by that to say, okay, I'm a Joe Satriani fan, so I'm really interested in Joe Satriani guitars. Now sometimes they won't be quite as obvious as that. With that one, they are all Joe Satriani guitars, but with perhaps something like let's try AC/DC. Yeah, so those are going to be curated by by as you say, an expert that's sort of said, yes, these are the guitars that are going to be most appropriate for somebody to try and sound like Angus Young from AC/DC.
Great, great. And I noticed on your new site the other day when I went onto it that there was something really strange at the bottom, something about cowbells.
Yeah, so this is a bit of again, it's a kind of a good branding thing for us, but one of the ways that we like to leverage how agile EasyAsk is to if we have an idea, we'll just for something a bit silly, we'll just run with it, because we know that we can get from having a great idea to getting it on the website in less than half an hour, including the time it takes to sort of run the search and so on. So we've had a number of things where we've just sort of gone, isn't there some potential for kind of a bit of viral marketing or whatever if we do this? So Does It Gent is another one that might be a little bit more niche. You guys might not be quite so familiar with that one, but the cowbell one is is very much a case of if we just search for something random. Yeah, so we'll have an attribute down here which is needs more cowbell. So it's just really a joke. There's a bit of a pop culture reference which I'm sure hopefully everybody will get, but maybe some people won't, which is just this thing of saying, everything needs more cowbell. So, whenever you hear something, you say, oh yeah, it sounds great, but needs more cowbell. So what we thought would be funny is to do an attribute that needs more cowbell, and that attribute applies to everything that's not a cowbell. So cowbells are the only thing that doesn't apply to.
So do you sell cowbells?
We do indeed. So if you want to see cowbells, you just look for what doesn't need more cowbell. Okay, you've got some cowbells.
Okay, I've got it. Brilliant. So obviously you make extensive use of attributes for filtering, and particularly obviously the derived attributes. How do you get any kind of feedback on that, or how do you know what's working?
Yeah, so that's another great example of something that we do, which is that one of the reasons that we like to leverage the fact that EasyAsk is so agile is by just being able to test things. So being able to kind of go, okay, let's just get something up there as a filter and see if it actually gets used. So so a good example of that is at the moment we're having some discussions internally about whether or not we need to reorganize our category structure. Now, actually doing that is a really, really intense piece of work, and we're not really sure whether people are going to. So one of the examples is whether we categorize electric guitars by what they are at the moment, which is whether they're a solid body or a semi-hollow, or whether we organize them by the body shape that they are. Now, we wanted to find out what users would do given the opportunity, and so what we were able to do is actually put body shape into, so we're actually using the term popular searches as a bit of a proxy, but really to see if people are likely to use these filters, which lead to, so for instance, an Epiphone Les Paul, that's not actually a specific product, that's a range of products which could have a range of prices as well. So it's almost like a small category unto itself. So because we know we can get that up very, very quickly, very, very easily, we can get that up there, and then we can begin to track clicks on those filters to see, actually, yes, people do want to filter by, whether a guitar's an Epiphone Les Paul. And if we do see that a lot of people using those clicks, then that then informs what we're doing with our category structure, for instance. So there's a very much a case of being able to sort of get things up there, test them, see what happens, and then use that to inform other areas in the website.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I know that Andertons are very kind of reviewing where they are. Could you just tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so we have a regular meeting which we call Search Lab, and what we do in Search Lab is basically is we meet every week, and we look at exactly these things. So the most obvious things, obviously, to look at are, in fact, I'm just going to pop back to my slides now, because I think we've got some here. Yeah, here we go. So we'll look at zero result searches. We'll look at popular searches, and that's kind of the sort of the most obvious thing to do, which is to essentially say, what are the searches that are causing us trouble, and what are the searches that are, that are getting the most kind of footfall, and then being able to actually look at those and say, well, what do we do about that? So a good example of zero results is we were often getting searches for a product called Axe Effects. And that's a product which is sold directly, so it's not a product that we sell. But we do sell some very similar products. So obviously there's a number of ways that we could have dealt with that. And how we decided to do it in the end was, so if I just search for Axe Effects, which is the product, you'll see what we decided to do is use EasyAsk to insert this banner at the top here, which would then lead to a piece of content work that we did, which compared the Axe Effects with the competitive products that we do sell. And there's a lot of information there. It's a very unbiased look, and then we kind of have a matrix at the bottom to kind of compare those things. Now, originally we just saw that people that were searching for Axe Effects were literally just searching and then leaving because there wasn't anything there for them. But now we've provided some great content for them, given them something to think about, and hopefully we might have made a cross-sell onto a product that we do sell. So all of that because we were able to kind of look in Search Lab at EasyAsk Analytics and look at our Google Analytics and actually see, we can see we've got a problem here because we can see we've got an awful lot of people searching for a product that we don't sell.
Hey Mark, we've got a couple questions that have come in.
Yeah, sure.
So number one, are items being added to the popular searches dynamically, or are you adding those manually?
Popular searches is they're added manually. The reason that we call them popular searches is actually not because they're popular. It's really just because we wanted to. We just wanted to test. It's almost a bit of a social proofing thing. We use one of the very main things that we absolutely love about EasyAsk is how quickly it is to just get things up there and test them. So we really just wanted to see whether people would click on those things, on those kind of ranges, and they are actually, for the most part, popular searches, as in they are for the most part manually what our most popular searches are, and those don't actually change very much anyway, so it's not really a huge problem that they're not dynamic. But we do stick a couple of things in there that aren't popular searches, and we just want to see if people think they're popular searches, whether or not they'll click on them.
Okay, and Robin, one came in asking about which version of EasyAsk Andertons is using. I figured you'd be better to answer that one.
Yeah, currently using version 12, and in fact, Andertons have been beta testing 14 for us, so which is obviously imminent, and they're looking forward to upgrade to that to take advantage of some of that new functionality. But currently, and the site that you see, the live site, is running version 12.
Great, guys. Thank you. Oh, and also, Mark, just so you know, the cowbell did not go unnoticed, as one of our viewers here definitely understood the SNL and Blue Oyster Cult reference.
Brilliant, fantastic. Yeah, so I guess just to kind of sum up, I mean, it's pretty. I guess I've made it pretty clear throughout, kind of what it is that we really like about EasyAsk. But for us, it is really just the speed. So I say the agility because I think agility is two things. It's speed and it's ease. So it's getting those filters up there, seeing whether people use them or not, and if they don't use them, we can very, very quickly ditch them. And if they do use them, then we can say, well, how do we make them better? And the EasyAsk Analytics gives us great feedback on what people are using, what people aren't using, what people are searching for, and where we're not providing them the right content. So that's why I've sort of picked on this agility thing, agility word as my kind of key word for it: agility to deploy, agility to test, and to experiment and fail fast.
That's great, and I noticed, Mark, you had a slide there, because I've seen when I visited you in the past, you use these heat maps as a way of looking at how certain pages are being navigated. It just would be interesting. I don't know if many of our other customers use, but I don't know if you just want to talk through that just for a second.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we use a tool called InspectLit, which is actually a really, really cheap tool, but really, really effective. And it does click tracking as well, so you can watch individual sessions if that's what you like. And actually, we found huge value just from sitting and watching people use search. So many questions that we weren't sure about that we can answer now. We found some crazy behavior that our customers do. Our customers love window shopping. We probably half the people on our website are, or probably 90% of people on our website will have no intention to buy whatsoever. They just want to have a look. And actually, by offering them all of these kind of extra search filters and so on, it makes them very easy to find what they're looking for. And what we find is that people really do like just kind of paging through pages and pages and pages of results, and then what they'll do is they'll open in multiple tab all of the results that they're interested in, and then they'll look through them. So when we did the heat maps, what you're actually seeing here on the left is you're seeing a navigation using the category structure, and on the right you're seeing a search. And so we already saw a really interesting piece of behavior here, which is that when people search, they're more likely to refine their search by searching again, whereas when they are using the nav, they're more likely to use filters. And what that meant for us was basically just making sure what we did is we went through every single category and we optimized the filters, the order of the filters within the EasyAsk tool, so that we knew that the most effective filters were going to be nearer the top, and maybe the ones that we were testing or that were less interactive with would be nearer the bottom, or if they were irrelevant, that they were just hidden completely. And with search, it's much more a case of making sure that those kind of natural language searches work, so that people can refine by saying things like, a blue guitar under £500 or whatever, which does work.
Great, that's really interesting. And I noticed we had a question. Just say, what was the name of that heat map tool again?
It's InspectLit. So sort of inspect, as if you're going to say inspect, but then lit at the end, L-E-T, InspectLit.
Okay.
It's a fantastic tool. I would only recommend EasyAsk more highly than InspectLit. But InspectLit is a great tool as well.
Yeah, it looks quite an interesting tool. So, okay, well, really appreciate you spending the time just telling us a little bit about what you've been doing at Andertons, Mark. Really appreciate that. So thank you. And I think we'll pass back to Matt. I don't know if there's more questions, Matt, or anything else that you need to do. And obviously, we're available to talk through anything else right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's got any more questions for me that they don't get a chance to ask today, I'm sure Matt will pass them on and I can answer by email.
Yeah, thank you.
Mark, Robin, thank you very much. Yeah, that heat map thing is very cool. Kind of wish that websites looked like that just in general. It kind of really caught my eye there. I like the way that looked a lot. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. A big thank you again to Mark Johnson with Andertons Music, as well as Robert Aiken for making this a very memorable EasyAsk customer webinar. If you have any questions regarding your own site and what can be done to help it work smarter, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or anyone here at EasyAsk. My contact information is on the screen. If you have coworkers that you'd like to have view this webinar, it has been recorded, and we will be sending the link to the recording out early next week. Thank you all again for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.